we the baddies? I drink your...
Hey, this is Box Office Baddies coming to you from a balcony in beautiful Koreatown, Los Angeles. My name is Sean, and there is nothing like fresh powder. You know what I'm saying? XXX, baby.
Welcome to the Xander Zone.
Oh my God. Okay. Everyone's got to know this week is XXX. We are joined here by one of our greatest friends, Glue. Everybody say hello to Glue. How's it going, buddy?
Also known as Gluten, Gluey CK, Gluey Armstrong.
Resident butt rock aficionado.
Gluteus Maximus.
All right. Fuck yeah. So, Glue, let's kind of dig into this film. Let's talk about the overarching feel of the movie for you.
Right. Well, I mean, you can just kind of see from the get-go, for sure. It's very, like, Fast and the Furious, but instead of cars, like, cars are an element, but it's about this guy named Xander and...
Xander Cage.
Xander Cage,
dude.
I mean, he's
Fuck
basically
yeah, dude.
Dom from Fast and the Furious, same character. I think they just shot the movies at the same time. They're like, all right, we already have him here, so let's
Yeah.
just get that done with. And I mean, it's about as like over the top in effects as you can get, and so underwhelming in like pacing and storytelling and just like cheesy one-liners, but it all like comes together and makes it good.
And I think one of the main reasons why we put this podcast together is for the concept of butt rock. And I want to give you sort of like a concept of butt rock with help of the explanation of Nick. So essentially, like, butt rock originates with bands like Creed, like, you know, with arms wide open, you know, like shit like that.
Pearl
You know,
Jam.
Pearl Jam, like Lips of an Angel, Hinder, all that shit.
Temple
you know
of
what I'm saying?
Dog.
Temple of a Dog, fucking all that shit, bro. So, but anyways, like, we were thinking, we're so obsessed with this kind of music, we think it's fucking hilarious. What are some like butt rock films? Like, what constitutes like a butt rock film, and how does that transcend music and come into film? And I think that XXX really kind of fits that mold really hilariously.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like it's the ultimate like intersection between shitty butt rock music, like over the top action, and for some reason like just in like absurd amount of like extreme sports references, and like of course the cameo by Matt Hoffman and Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
It's, like,
In the early 2000s,
weird.
so much, man.
And they're just
Incredible.
like, they just come in and they're kind of just like, what's going on, man? And that's just kind of it. They're just like, those sports were so much more popular then just because like everyone was wearing like chunky etnies and they all wanted to be like Rodney Mullen or something.
Yeah, the X Games and like Travis Pastrana, like all,
Yeah.
all that stuff was so big. Like Metal Militia, they kind of
Right.
had.
You had the Bob Burnquist, you know.
They had like a product placement moment with Metal Militia that was
in
funny.
just bro culture.
Like, yeah,
for
they just
sure.
cut to it. It was like, "Where's Deegan? Where's Deegan?"
It's basically like, I feel like San Diego is still in that, you know.
Isn't it crazy that like somewhere like on the planet like there's like a cut of Brian Deegan doing like a backflip fucking twist with like fucking like Creed like on top of it,
Yeah.
you know, like or
Can you take me high?
That's a great
He's
edit.
just doing a whip it.
bro,
you know?
just Deegan taking us higher, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I mean, he's the only one that could around then.
He was the highest back then, man. Hell yeah.
So the budget for this movie was $85 million.
Oh my god.
That's it.
It was an absolute nightmare of, you know, a well of money spent on this thing.
I think it made a lot of money though, to be fair.
But
Oh,
I hope so. But it's funny, like, to see how dated the money spent can be. Like on a lot of the CGI through the movie was very
the first try.
early 2000. It was like Sean was saying, the moment at which like they're like, you know, we can do anything, so let's do everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. It's kind of like the moment where they're like, okay, like let's ditch some like practical effects in films from like the late 90s or like that whole 80s era of like, I always talk about it, but like horror, but like, you know, like we have like CGI and like we think it's good enough, right? So if it's there, like let's fucking run it, dude.
Yeah.
Like let's get it going, you know? And so they just inject it in, and I imagine at the time like the snowboard scene with Vin Diesel was so sick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you just shred and pow.
Yeah.
Just buttery as fuck, you know what I'm
Shred
saying?
and pow.
But like I feel like it's really now just like ages so weirdly, and I don't know. I don't really know how to think about it.
I
It's
mean,
funny.
when you already know what you're in for when the movie starts and there's music playing, and it's like just music that's not in the world of the movie, and then all of a sudden you see like Xander Cage roll up at just like a weird like Limp Bizkit like metal show,
rolling,
and like all of a sudden he's there. And it's like a party, and it's like also Mad Max, but it could also be just like a skate park. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Dude,
Yeah.
let's mix every genre into a sick scene.
Yeah.
Dude.
It's the whole movie was like Mad Max Fury Road meets Lords of the Dogtown. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And it's made by the same director as Fast and the Furious, so it's like you can just tell that, like you can just tell it's the same thing. Like they use like the same types of sets and everything. And one thing that I noticed like early on when the movie first started is just the amount of, in this time 2000s movies, just no matter what, if any joke was said, it was at least subtly racist, you know, like at least like
or gay
it starts,
humor.
yeah, everything's just like super like
Dated.
homophobic or just like racist just because like they're like we don't know what else to do, you know.
Feel
So,
like that's what's entertaining at the time. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean it's Vin Diesel, so I don't really think he's much of like a social justice warrior or anything.
Well, it's kind of one of those
You haven't
things where
heard-
He's woke.
well, it's one of those things where it's kind of like wrong, and it's like you and your homies like kind of like look back to like an earlier time, and you're just like, you know, like that was the wrong language to use.
Yeah.
And it's like obviously like you live and you learn, and like you wouldn't say anything like that today, but it's like you hear it in the movie and you're like, oh my god, like shit
Yeah.
has changed. Like it just seems like a foreign planet. I would
Yeah.
say even in like more of a sense than like 90s or 80s movies. Like sometimes I watch early 2000s and I was like, is this like a somehow weird time warp that's like older than the 80s? Like,
It's
do you know what I'm
Y2K,
saying?
baby.
It seems older somehow.
Yeah.
I feel like they peaked in like the 80s and 90s, and like they had too much technology and resources for their own good, you know.
Yeah.
It's like Star Wars Episode 1 is like kind of
Callback, huh?
is the classic example of that.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's the same thing with the avalanche scene where they're like, how can we create like an absolute massive avalanche but make it entirely CGI?
So I kind of want to cut into this a bit and talk about like slightly the framework of the movie. So essentially, Xander Cage, right? He's just like he's an absolute misfit, dude.
Bad boy. Definitely.
So sick. And like he's doing stunts and like cops are chasing him, but he can never be caught, dude. He can't be caught. He's so sick.
Not with his boys.
Never, dude. And so essentially, like the American government knows that like he can't be caught by like local authorities, so they're just like, yo, like let's get Xander Cage, and like let's use him to our advantage for like this like co-op mission in the in the Czech Republic in Prague, and
And of course it's Samuel L. Jackson that recruits him, you know, that
Yeah.
Nick Fury style.
so he comes in basically, and like he has to like crack the code like with like this weird organization in Prague. It's called like. It's called Anarchy 99, which
So butt
which
rock.
to be honest sounds like
Jeez.
somehow more butt rock than Creed.
Yeah.
But he jumps into that.
Human clay vibes.
Yeah.
It sounds like District 9 or something, like, you know, like that level
Yeah.
of like industrial butt rock.
Just
Yeah.
numbers
But-
cuts, you know? That's what makes it.
It could have just been like anarchy, like maybe another word, but they're just like, let's throw 2 9s in there. Like,
Yeah.
let's figure it out. But he kind
No,
of,
no, tune
Exactly.
but yeah, comedy.
What Koima?
But yeah, so he kind of like joins this this group and becomes like this like double agent, and he wants to like stop from like this rocket from like taking off, and basically like the U.S.
Yeah.
government is like, your cover's been blown, like you blew the mission, and then Vin Diesel's like, yo, I'm in love with the woman still. And he takes it on his own volition to disobey the U.S. government, and he still does the mission, and and he ends up saving the day. It's crazy.
Like one thing that I really like that is a little bit of diversion from like the plot, but so it starts out and at no point for the first 20 minutes is there anything like motocross or dirt bike or any type of like bike related. But Xander's wearing like the bike pants the whole time, you know? And you're just like, where is this going to come into play? Like, is it just like a flex, a fashion statement? And there's a scene where it's like 4 minutes of just like 3 Blackhawks shooting up a farm or something. And Xander looks over like as a last ditch attempt to like escape, and there's just like there's just a dirt bike on the ground, you know.
He's like, oh, here's my chance.
Yeah, and he's driving through a cornfield, but there's like huge like just jumps, and he hits whips like through barbed wire, and it's just like
riding a prison fence like with the skateboard.
I know, and I feel like the way that they made the movie, it must have looked crazy to see how it actually looked. Because it probably looked so like it was just like they were in a room or something, you know.
Yeah.
Like they CGI'd like everything. They like just CGI'd like water.
That's how a lot of movies are. Like we were talking about that actors never really know, you know, how movies are going to turn out. And a great story that I grew up hearing in my family was my grandpa's business partner was roommates with this actor in college. And
Who?
Well, I'll get to that. So
bad.
he goes. So his actor roommate comes back from a set. He's gone for a month or two, and he gets back and says, "Man, I just did this movie. It was like total bullshit. Like it was a bunch of green screens and nothing. I didn't know what was happening. There was a bunch of people in animal costumes, and it really seems like it was going to be a horrible movie." And the movie was Star Wars, and it was Harrison Ford.
Really?
Wow.
And like. The crazy thing is that
Which one?
It was the first movie, you know, episode 4, right?
Wow.
So the first one in the franchise, 77.
They had. I didn't even think. I thought a lot of that was like real in that movie.
Yeah, well, I think it was, but it wasn't. Green screen would be the wrong word, but I think that it did a lot of stuff in post to where they were shooting on like really kind of bare bones sets to where they were like, how is this even going to look? And they added all this stuff after.
They probably also did it like on the scene somehow too, like before post, you know, like just trying to figure out like how they would make it work just in general. But like again, like, there's so many different tricks. You know, what
It's
I'm
the
saying?
same with like how I was talking to Sean when we were watching the movie. Back then they would use, you know, like the little models and stuff, and like King Kong, and like just like they'd have a plane and it'd just be like a guy going like that or like hanging on a string.
It's
And
all
then
models,
until like a couple years ago, I feel like that was better than CGI. You know,
It's
like,
true.
You
Like,
knew it was
It can
fake.
be better, even though it's older. Yeah,
Right.
It's weird.
You know, like the best example of that, like truly is, like if you look at, I mean, there's plenty of examples, but like if you look at like Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey,
There we go.
like
On your sweater.
yeah, I know, I'm always wearing it, but basically it's like they had like this like whole sort of thing that they use with like double-sided tape to be able to like move like the actual like spaceships like through the scene. That was like revolutionary. And like if you still watch the film today, it's incredible. Like it looks so good, and it looks like incredibly artsy, and I'm all for like the advancement of technology. And I don't even fault the early 2000s for like what they did. I think it's just like kind of like a growing pain of like the industry, and it's just funny to watch.
Yeah, it's funny because like a movie made that long ago about 2001 had better editing and stuff than 2001 actually. You know?
Yeah.
But you were saying when we were watching the movie that like you like this is your favorite movie now, XXX. You're like it's better
It's
than
fun.
like all A24.
It's a fun movie. I mean,
Jesse's clowning me right now.
so, another fun fact of the movie is that Sean's dad actually worked on the film.
He did. And
What did he do?
so essentially my dad actually did some work as an electrician. So I think I've talked about this in early podcasts, but my dad's an electrician in the movie industry. And
What is like that's different though from like an electrician.
Yeah,
Right?
well, I
It's
mean,
like lighting.
Yeah, what's an electrician for the movie industry? He essentially like sets up lights. He's like a gaffer, and he sets up lights for like each scene. He like reports to the DP, which is the director of photography, and he essentially like cultivates a scene based on like his like directions.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so he worked on XXX, and I remember being like very young and being like, this is so sick. It's the same time when I was just like Adam Sandler is like my favorite actor, you know? Even though I do like even now think Adam Sandler's
Watch your
cool.
mouth, kid.
But
I know what you mean.
No, but it was just like I had like this very juvenile like sort of impression of film, and I was very excited for everything my dad did, you know? Like, I was very excited. So
Yeah.
I remember, like, hearing about XXX and watching it. And here's a funny story with me. I remember, like, my dad came back from, like, the set, and there was, like, these, like, XXX tattoos that were, like, given to the crew.
The neck one?
Yeah, but it was like, do you remember
The
those like,
classic
you remember those
moniker.
like little kid tattoos that were given, like, you could just press it down with water?
Yeah, and you
so
wipe
he
it
he
out.
gave me a fuck ton of those, and I remember going to school and like putting one like on my neck.
Like Xander?
Yes, so butt rocket, like
Xander
in like
Cage.
4th grade. And then I remember giving some to my friends, and they were like, I told them about like the movie, and like it resonated more with the time, and they were just like, I remember like seeing some kids like just resting some water on their neck in the restroom of Gladstone Elementary, and thought it was so sick.
You walk into like the lunchroom and everyone's like this.
Yeah.
Like just getting ready.
Totally.
So hard.
But but like I think my dad is like someone that we are really interested in talking to, and if you stay around for the rest of the episode, we will have an interview with him at the very end. So
Cool.
Yeah.
When you rolled up at school, like you just had like Alice in Chains in your Skull Candy headphones and everything. You rolled up with the stickers and you were just slanging them.
maybe a little before Skull Candy. I don't know.
You guys went to school together.
Yeah.
Like, how long have you guys known each other? You and Sean.
Too long.
Well,
Give me a number. Give me a number.
I don't
It
know,
was
like,
it was essentially
junior year.
It was essentially
school.
like
Okay, so that's like almost a decade.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
pretty much.
we got really close in math class. We like cracked some jokes during math. It was geometry.
Mr. Famili.
Mr. Famili had like the joke
Shout
where
out.
where he would go
Not really.
yeah, he would say things like "son of a basketball player,"
Yeah.
and then he would
Mr.
predict.
Famili's grandfatherly advice.
He had the grandfatherly advice, and then he would also predict when people come back from the bathrooms.
Oh my, that was like almost like a very butt rock joke, you know? in itself.
was, yeah,
He
for
kind of
sure.
looked like Xander, in a way. He was
would.
like a kind of bald, like tan type of guy and really buff. Like you don't know if he just was like super determined or roided out, you know? But
Yeah,
but what would he do again with the door?
he would essentially stand by the door, and he would be like, "I can always predict when the students will come back from the bathroom."
Yeah, and it was like a shotgun effect. Like
No,
sometimes
and,
it worked.
and sometimes it would work,
So-
and like we were fucking stupid enough to where like we would sort of stand by the door and like kind of like listen with him, and like sometimes someone would come in when he would count down from 10, but sometimes like he would just bomb, and it was just like a
Yeah.
failing comedian, and like we
He'd
would just
kind of be like, "Oh, I thought I heard something."
he'd just be like, "Oh, my senses are off today."
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, he was a very good guy, but to lead back to someone who might not be a great guy, do you remember when Xander in XXX had see-through binoculars?
Oh,
What do you feel about
God.
that, Glue?
I mean, it doesn't get more like 2000s than gadgets, you know? If there's
Inspector
gadgets
Gadget,
involved.
Gadget.
It's like XXX Inspector Gadget, you know what I'm saying?
If there's gadgets and if it's that era and it's an action movie, you know they're up to no good. You know? So, of course, this like kind of nerdy guy, he's like, I'm from MIT or whatever, like Xander, like check out all these gadgets. And first he shows them these Band-Aids, and he's like, what am I supposed to do with Band-Aids? And he's just like, no, Xander, they're explosives. And you just stick them on, they blow up. And he's like, what are these? And he's like, oh, you like these? And he's like, they're binoculars. And he basically, he's like, give me these things. He looks, and there's just some girl, and he like obviously like points at her ass, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna hang on to these.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
just like,
Jesus.
the one-liners though throughout the whole movie are like,
Dude,
the
there's
best
another
part.
one-liner where he's like about to like have sex with the girl
Oh, and she's stripping in like
Yeah.
that Victorian bed
who you find out who's also like the double agent later as well as
from
Xander.
Russia or something,
Yeah.
right?
And he essentially comes over and he's just like, it's like a sort of like a difference between like the American quote of just like, ask not what you can do for your country, but like one of those things. But he
Yeah.
comes in, he's like, what can I do for my country? And like
Yeah.
he sees her stripping or something like that, and like she's just like crawling on like all fours and like straddling like just like one of those like beds with like the
the pole's this big. Like,
with
it's
the
just like a
poles
tree
that
trunk.
big, and then there's like the sort of like barrier on top where you can see like stars when you're laying down. Yeah, it's
Like
crazy.
Queen's Gambit style.
Queen's Gambit, dude. Shout out, dude. Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, that's actually something
Yo,
good.
straight
but
shout out him.
I think he says, the girl like calls him over and he's like, the things I do for my country or something. And
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
like,
yeah. I think that was more what it was for sure.
And I mean, like, speaking of like people like coming in like that, I was like, it wouldn't be a movie. Like, it wouldn't be Butt Rock without Danny Trejo rolling in.
Yeah,
the
dude.
guest
It's
appearance.
a great point.
I mean, I feel like other than like, we were talking about how Samuel L. Jackson is like in like 300 movies or whatever, and he always gets casted for these specific roles. I feel like Danny Trejo is like the same way. He's like, we need a mean guy, like Spanish and like machete, you know?
Yeah, I love Danny Trejo. He's someone
Yeah.
that he's
Shout out
he's
Trejo's
someone that
Donuts.
everyone is familiar with, and he's also that if anyone is a Los Angeles resident,
Right.
has completely bastardized his brand. Like,
I remember.
there's
everywhere.
Trejo's Tacos, there's Trejo's Coffee and Donuts,
Yeah.
there's
Trejo's gas station. or
Trejo's
some shit.
Cantina. Yeah, there's literally everything.
me and Nick, like when Nick was in his band, shout out Matty Sipes and the Painted Blue.
Okay, yeah.
I remember like one time like I met up with them and like with my buddy Shane, and like we went to Trejo's bar, and it was during.
They have Trejo's bar?
Yeah.
Trejo's.
Jeez.
Trejo's Bar, yeah, that's another one.
Oh my God.
No,
Trejo's Cantina.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is Trejo's Bar.
Oh, different.
This is different
No,
than Trejo's. I'm
it's
kidding.
different. It's a different.
Okay, my bad.
But no, but it was basically like during St. Patrick's Day, and like there was like these like big like green beers, and I remember going there with like my buddy Shane and just getting like these like massive like green beers, and like heading back and like hanging out with like Nick and
me
his
and Shane.
bandmates, and it was classic, bro. Super
Yeah,
fun.
I wonder when did that Trejo takeover like come about?
After Machete.
Really?
Yeah,
'Cause-
I think Machete kind of like solidified him, and then from there it like he kind of became like a meme.
when did he get into
appearance.
real estate? Like,
That's
I don't
okay.
understand.
See, that's another question that if anyone has any answers,
Leave it in the comment
pop
section.
in the comments.
Because like I don't know, like I'm not saying Danny Trejo is like the most famous person, but he seems like he did well enough to not have to do that, or is it? I don't know.
No,
I
no,
feel like it's for the love of the
he's-
community, or what?
He's doing it to make money and to
Whoa.
stay relevant, and I respect that.
All right,
Like,
all right.
I totally respect that, bro. Hell
Yeah, I mean, because like, if the food's good,
Yeah, and what are we
he
talking
puts his
about
name
right
on it,
now,
it's
you
like
know?
great. It's fun because there's always that notion that like he could just roll up at
Yeah,
any moment
that's cool.
to
And
his
they
place.
did-
Like
they had vegan,
they're selling that.
They had vegan
experience.
soft serve at Trejo's Donuts for a while, and it's
That's cool.
on Highland.
Yeah. See,
Yeah,
they
that
know
was
what they're
really
doing.
good. I mean, he definitely hit
It
the
wasn't the
mark.
best food I've ever had, but I will say it was a good experience, and we got a good buzz on, and had some margaritas. I had a fried chicken taco, I think, when we were in there.
It was like a club.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, but it was fun. I mean, it's like
Was it as cool as the club in XXX with the Tesla coils? The
Oh,
Tesla
man.
coils.
Yeah.
Talk about the Tesla coils, Nick.
This is a real club sandwich.
The
of a
budget
film, I
killer.
gotta tell you guys. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like we're explaining
on.
it like sporadically, but that's how the movie works. It's like
Yeah.
all these little action movies in one.
This is a real mayonnaise.
It's a
of
triple
film.
threat, if you could
It's
say.
like
A triple threat, if you will. Triple
Yeah.
X, if you will.
Pacoima.
Comedy.
oh, that's fun.
Tell us what did you think about the club? Do you think that, like, how do you feel about those, like, inserting, like, just randomly those, like, 2000s, like, rave culture, like, industrial vibes? Like, do you think that was just popular, like, the same as, like, the BMX thing and stuff? So they were like, what can we hit? Like, we need to hit more, like,
You think it's
markets.
butt rock?
I think it was a bit butt rock, but I think they were kind of.
Is that electronic butt rock?
They were kind of like winking and suggesting that like Ludacris could walk into frame at any moment. You know what I'm saying?
That's so true.
Yeah, like literally at any moment, like Luda, like Luda.
I mean, think about, like, I feel like the way that Xander, like, was dressed. He looked like he was the guy hopping into, like, the scene just for, like, that little value. He'd have, like, the giant fur coats and everything.
Oh, the fur coats were incredible.
Yeah.
Like the one that he had that like he looked like a
Drake.
like Drake, but he's a Viking at the same time.
Yeah, but he's also wearing like Under Armour compression pants or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Because he has to get ready to be extreme at any moment.
Well,
you know?
talking about extreme, let's talk about like that snowboard scene. Like I
The
feel
avalanche.
That was
it's,
epic.
it's crazy, and I think that it perfectly put the top on what defines butt rock about this movie. Is he's shredding down the hill. He decides at one point, he's like, it's life or death. Like, what am I gonna do?
And
he
it's like
decides,
drowning pool playing. And
it's like let the bodies hit the floor. I honestly thought it was Fred Durst for a second. I thought it was gonna be rolling.
Yeah. Every time a song came on, Sean, it's rolling.
rolling, and then it would
I don't
go
know
to
if
the
it ever
chorus.
happened.
It would go into a different butt rock chorus every time though.
I
Like,
think
it'd be
we-
like, damn.
That just speaks to how butt rock though is just like a formulaic type of
it's
music.
true.
You know,
It speaks to the butt rockness of the film.
it wouldn't be butt rock if you didn't think, oh, I heard that before. You know, that's
Totally.
Like the vibe.
Familiarity is a big
And-
part
and-
of butt rock. Sebastian.
So
Bastion of the
so there's basically
last
like
butt rock.
so there's basically this part where it's like life or death, and he's sitting on like the edge of this mountain. He's just like, fuck it, let's go for it. And he like jumps off like this little cliff, and he like it's almost like he knew there's about to be an avalanche, and so it's following him, and he's going
He's
down.
in the air for like a minute.
Rolling.
Yeah, he's rolling, and he's just and he,
SSX tricky.
yeah, he's just going down, like adding mad tricks and points to his score. And he gets down, and then there's like different like cutscenes to where like he like gets to this point, and he's like shreds this way, and then it almost like seems like you just see like a skinny Asian guy just like
Yeah.
and like and then it cuts to the next one.
Whoa.
We're talking about stuntman here.
But then like it's like he goes like fucking another way, and it's just like a different guy. It's almost like they use like 3 different stunt guys for like this like whole shredding scene, and it's like totally not Vin Diesel, and I think that's like hilarious.
I
And
feel like they tried like.
well, it makes it
It
more
looks
butt
like
rock.
they tried to make it not be him. Like,
I
when
know.
they do a stunt and they cut back and it's the actor again? It wasn't for a little bit. Like, till he got to the end of the mountain.
Yes, it lacked continuity for me. Yes.
Isn't that the most butt rock ever? Wouldn't you say
Yeah.
that like for the whole movie in terms of the butt rock episode shout out that like that's what it was? Ignore we got some
Shout
sounds
out to K-Town.
shout out to the sounds of the city right here. Sorry.
That's butt rock. if
That's
I've
pretty
ever
butt
heard
rock.
it.
Our podcast is butt rock.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
guy.
Whoa. Getting out of hand.
But like Jesse, back to you. Don't you think that like that sealed the deal on like the whole like butt
Yeah.
rock theme of the film was that snowboard scene?
I think it was just perfectly kind of wrapped up, like what this movie was and like why it's ridiculous, because the scene was over the top. You can tell that it looks like they were like, hey, like the director was like, hey, like Johnson, like we got 30 million left. Like what can we do? And they're like, let's do like a million flip like snowboard scene. He's gonna land, and it's like going down an avalanche, and he just survives by hanging onto a pole. And it's just funny because the production looks so ridiculously over the top, and like I'm sure they actually tried it multiple times, and they spend all that money, yet they didn't even have enough attention to detail to be like, make sure it's not the stunt guy doing it.
Yeah, I feel like they had the like.
They're like, where's Vin?
I feel like I feel like the studio.
Vin just eating the sandwich, dude.
Yeah.
This is like what I feel like happened. Like they shot this thing in 90 days. They got to day like 87, and the director gets a call from the studio.
We need an avalanche.
And the director's like, look, like we're pretty much wrapped up here. And they're like, look, you still got 20 million left to blow in the budget. And then the director's like, the studio's like, let's get something crazy. They're like, why don't you get a gator of him going off an avalanche? Like, fucking gator off the avalanche.
Or it's like after like the whole like Czech Republic scene, and they're just like, he's like, hey, it's like day 87. He's like, all right, snowboard scene, what are we gonna do? And then it's literally just like, dude, Vin's still in the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Vin's still in like Club H2O. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know. I feel like they just were like, how can we just bastardize this as much as possible?
Right. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, if you have the money, use it. Like then they'll know that you need that much or whatever.
Yep.
And I feel like speaking of the Czech Republic, a big aspect of the film was this like Czech or Russian guy like Yorgi, and he was like very like low key style, like from Thor, like Marvel villain, but like a Russian like bad boy, you know, and he like paid all these scientists and like basically got them to build him a missile and just like tried to explode it in their lab. And the best part about it is like I don't think he's Russian or Czech, because the accent like just sounded fake the whole time.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it.
It was almost like a Russian guy doing a Russian accent.
Yeah, I mean,
like they're like ramp it up a little, Yorgi.
Let's not.
Hey, you sound fake, Hollywood.
Let's not act surprised that the character actors' accents in this film like didn't add up. Like XXX with Vin Diesel. You know what I mean? Like,
he's like, hey Vin, good stunt, bro. He's like, terrible accent, man.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like Vin is just the biggest pain in the ass to work with.
I'm sure. I mean, he just looks like a pain in the ass to just like be around.
What was the one where it was like the baby movie that was big? Like
Pacifier.
Yeah,
That's pretty butt rock.
Yeah,
that was around the same era that where they would either get like retired or kind of in a weird limbo, like sports players or just WWE people to do action movies.
Yeah.
Or like kids movies. You know, it's like Ice Cube aren't there yet too. Like,
yeah, it's like Dwayne Johnson, Brad Pitt. Like,
right.
Or we're calling it a day.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, it's weird to think that that's like the trajectory of an actor. You can be someone like Vin Diesel, and at the end of a movie like XXX, you're driving like an old GTO and you're hitting NOS, just like Fast and the Furious, shooting missiles, stopping all this, and then they're like, "Can you be a babysitter too?" You know, like that just seems like a weird like thing to do. Those two totally different roles like that.
All right, man. So I think this has been a good podcast. And before we go, I want to ask my guest, Jesse, if you were Vin and you had all the money in the world, what would you do? Look at the camera and answer. Lead us out.
I'll just introduce the world to the Xander Zone.
God bless Xander.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one, everybody. See you next
Peace
time.
out. Jesse Nyberg on YouTube.
Hit up my boy.
Are we the baddies?
Alrighty, so I wanted to bring you on to talk to you about your involvement in our movie this week that we talked about, which is XXX. And how long ago did you work on that?
That would be 18 years ago.
Wow.
Your sister was born during the production of that movie.
That's crazy.
Crazy, yeah. Yeah.
And that was filmed in the Czech Republic, right?
Yeah. It
That's
was.
great. So tell me about your experience on set in Czech Republic. Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. The Czech Republic was a very cool country. People there are really nice. The city of Prague is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was easy to get around there.
Yeah. I heard either it was from you or your brother, Joe, who works in the industry as well, but I remember hearing that there was like kind of like a pickpocketing incident with some of the people there. Did it involve you or someone you knew, or did you just hear about it?
No, there were a couple people that it was attempted on. Nobody got anything, but
Yeah.
I guess there in Prague, it's very well known to have happened all the time. I mean, they're professionals. So there was one instant where we were out on the street, and then what they do is they have these pretty girls come up to you and kind of just say, "Hey, how you doing?" Da, 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 and like touch you and stuff like that. And while they're touching you, the guy's pulling the wallet out of your pocket.
Yeah.
And so it's like every time a girl would come approach us, we would just no and push her away.
What if it was like actually just like a really hot girl that just wanted to talk to you and you just blew it?
Yeah, I wasn't going to take a chance. I'm not going to lose my wallet over a cute girl.
For sure. So I wanted to ask you as well about, I remember you were mentioning a story about that party that you went to at Vin Diesel's place.
Yeah, there was a Super Bowl party. The Super Bowl was happening there, and there was really nowhere to view it. And so
So about Rock.
Vin invited people over, and so I went up to the property, and he had this big giant dog. I don't know if it was a Mastiff or what, but I walked up, towards him, and this thing just started going off on me. He was barking, and Vin's holding him back, just laughing.
What is it about like big bald guys like Vin Diesel that love huge dogs like that? Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't know. He
They
had.
always have them. I said they always have them.
I know. I mean, he has a mystique about him. He's the big tough guy in his roles on film, and I think that he wants to have a big dog.
Yeah.
Like an intimidating dog. So he's sort of like him in his movies.
For sure. Was that basically kind of all that you remember at that party, or was there anything else that you remember?
No, I didn't stay very long. I think the dog had it out for me.
Oh, really? So you were scared of the dog? You had to leave?
Yeah, kind of. He was huge.
How many people were there?
I don't know, maybe 15, 20. It wasn't a big party.
It's a small thing. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
There was another thing I remember you telling me when I was very young about something that happened to a stuntman on that movie.
Yeah. I mean, we filmed all those scenes where the chase scenes and everything, and then there was a boat that pulled a guy with a parachute.
And he was a
down the
stuntman?
river. Down the river, yeah, he was a stuntman. Well, we got everything, and then we went home. Well, apparently they didn't have this one shot they wanted to get again.
Yeah.
And so they went back with a second unit back there to film that stunt again.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, there was a miscalculation, and he didn't either break loose from the parachute when they came to the bridge, or the boat didn't, or whatnot. Well, it slammed him right into the bridge, and he had passed away. So that was tough. That was tough to hear about.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the stunts are crazy. I mean, you really got to get them right.
Yeah. Do you think Vin did any of the stunts, or was it more just?
No, he did. He wasn't really. He did a few things, but no.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, you become too valuable, and if you get hurt, then it can end the picture, or
Well, that is pretty crazy that a lot of the stunts that were performed were, I mean, for the most part, like real. There is like a lot of special effects they use in that movie, but
yeah,
the scenes where they're jumping dirt bikes and doing stuff like that, or parachuting by bridges or snowboarding, like it seemed like it was all real, minus like a few small things,
Yeah, I mean, there was like those jumps with the motorcycles and everything. We did that at Lake Piru here before we went there, and there were helicopters above this, and it was at night, and the with cameras on it, right? And so they did this jump, and the bike got too close to the helicopter. He hit the helicopter, and he went tumbling down, rolled off his bike down this little ramp hill, and got up, and he was pissed. But that could have been bad. I mean, he could have hit the rotors or anything, so he was real lucky. So, there were a lot of close calls.
For sure.
On that.
We were watching the movie the other day for our podcast, and we were laughing super hard at, there's a snowboarding scene, which I imagine you probably weren't there for. It was like on this big mountain.
Nope. Yeah, we didn't go to that, no.
Okay, yeah, so there was a snowboarding scene, and the stuntman or stuntmen that they used for the scene, they looked like nothing like Vin. And it was funny because there's like quick takes that will happen when they're just like shredding around a corner. And if you look very close, like you can see it's just like a much skinnier guy, maybe even like an Asian guy or something,
Sure.
just for a second, just to see like Vin Diesel drop like 50 pounds in the scene, and then you see him
Yeah, I
at
know.
the bottom of the hill, you know?
Yeah, you also got to remember that most people don't view the movie like you do, or I do, because I'm in the industry. So you don't really even notice. You're so caught up in that scene that you think it's flowing, and it's the same person.
I just
So,
thought it was funny that they wouldn't be able to make it a little bit better, considering that they spent like 85 million on the budget. Like, I was like, come on.
They normally have people that look pretty darn close. You're right.
At least the build, you know, because you have the goggles on and the helmet, and
Sure.
but yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything you remember?
No, I mean, I just remember it being really nice where we were, and some of the locations were really cool, like the big. I think it was the nightclub where they were walking through and all the dancing and everything. To the what's the name of that music that they?
Like Limp Bizkit or something?
Yeah, something like that. But it was just a lot of lights, and there was this old church that we shot in, and that was actually in Germany. And so it was gutted, and it was in the middle of like a reconstruction. Probably takes years to do there, but we turned that into that place.
Oh, cool.
With all the lights and everything, and the techno. I think it was like techno type.
Yeah,
music.
we were actually wondering if you were there, because that place looked crazy. I don't know how they set that up.
It was nuts, huh? Because they still made it look really old, like all the bricks were falling and everything. And so they kept a lot of that, but we added all the lighting and everything that went along with it. So
that's sweet, yeah. I don't know if you remember, but it looked like in post they added like all these like sparks coming off these like Tesla coils or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Super funny.
I remember that. It was pretty cool. Yeah, that was a nice location. I like that one.
Oh, yeah. All right, Dad. Well, I appreciate your time, and this will be up pretty soon.
No problem. Thanks. Make sure you cut it right.
All right. Do you want to tell the listeners to keep being baddies?
Yeah, I do. Let's go again with that. You guys need to be baddies for this guy right here, because he is a baddie. Look at him.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Right. Bye.